Welcome to the Principles of American Government course for Fall 2020 online course. Due to some last-minute changes, I'll be your professor, Richard Laird. I've been teaching American government for several years. I have a PhD in political science. So I hope everyone is being well and staying safe. Looks like we'll be doing this online teaching for a little while. What I want to do for this first video is go through the syllabus in detail. So you should have a copy of that handy, because it's very important that you know exactly what's required of you for this class, what the schedule is going to be, and how we're going to operate the class. You have a copy of the textbook here that we'll be using for the course as well. So let's go ahead and get right on in to the syllabus. What we'll do first is log in to my RCC. That should take you to the portal page here, and then we click on Blackboard. So you choose your courses there. Then we'll go to the course information page, and the syllabus is right there, Principles of American Government, and then we will focus in on that. So the online course, I'll be treating this course similarly to an in-class situation where we would meet on Monday and Wednesday, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to post video lectures for each chapter on every Monday and Wednesday. So that's how we're going to operate the class. I'm going to be as interactive as we can possibly make it, particularly on Mondays and Wednesdays. Now I'll go through the schedule here in detail in a little bit. There's my email, rlaird@sunyrockland.edu. That's the best way to reach me, through email. We can also make a virtual appointment through either WebEx or Zoom. I'm still trying to get that ironed out. What we'll typically do is use Thursdays if there's any video conferencing that needs to be done. I'll be doing that primarily on a one-on-one basis to talk about any issues that you may have. Now, as far as the course description, we're going to be looking at the basics of American government. We're going to start at why we have a government, for one, particularly the Constitution, the decision-making institutions and how they've evolved, the courts, the role of the people, parties, interest groups, economic policy. So it's going to be quite a bit of information in this class looking at the basics of American government. Those are the course objectives there. You can read those. Gives you a pretty good idea of what we're going to try to accomplish in this class. In addition to the study of politics and government, we also want to learn how to use the peer-reviewed academic journals, the current empirical research in the field, using a scientific method to analyze our situations here. Now there's the textbook that I just showed you, American Government, Brief Introduction, Lowy and Company there by W.W. Norton. And there is the ebook for it there if you want to go that route as well. All supplementary materials and articles will be posted on Blackboard. Students will be instructed on the use of peer-reviewed academic journals. Very important. I'll be posting video lectures on how to write the paper and peer-reviewed academic journals, why they're important, how to find them, how to cite them. So the first thing we need to talk about, very importantly, is the online course participation. Keep in mind, this is not a self-paced course. You will need to keep up on a daily basis. We will be as interactive as we can possibly be. You need to access your Blackboard and your school email every day. As I said, video lectures will be posted every Monday and Wednesday. We'll look at the schedule here in a minute. And then following those, I'll be posting a discussion forum that you will respond to based on what the discussion question is. And the deadline to respond to the discussion forums will be 9 p.m. that evening. So each Monday and Wednesday will be our class days. I'll post the video. You watch the video in its entirety. Then you go to the discussion forum and respond to the discussion question. So that's how my attendance will be taken for the class, based on your responses to the discussion questions. Failure to respond by that deadline will result in an absence for that day's lecture. Each absence will result in a deduction of 5 points from your attendance grade. For example, if you miss 3 discussion forums, you will have 15 points taken off of attendance grade. Now, there could be also other factors going on here. Could have points deducted for failing to follow instructions according to what was asked in the discussion forum, or failing to watch the video lecture before you respond to the discussion forum. So this is very important. You can't cheat and move ahead. Students are required to watch the entire video lecture before responding to the discussion forum. This attendance and class participation will account for 15% of your total course grade. It will be your responsibility to keep up with the lectures on those days and respond to the discussion forums within the time required. The forum will be closed at that deadline. So do not email the professor asking if you can go ahead and respond to the discussion forum even though it's closed. No, we will be moving on. The discussion forum could potentially be a group exercise that will require some communication interaction between the students. Now, even though there's no right or wrong answers to a discussion forum, points could be detracted for doing things such as repeating what a previous student has already posted. We do not want to repeat. Read the previous posts before responding so that we can improve the variety of ideas of our responses. The forum could also be in a pop quiz format where students would respond but not have access to the other students' responses. Now, if it sounds like I'm not from around here, well, that's because I'm from Texas. And there's my alma mater from Texas right there. Now, as far as the grading policy goes, we'll have 3 tests. I'll go over these in more detail here in a minute. I will have 3 tests, online tests for the course. Each test is 20% of your grade, so your 3 tests make up 60% of your grade. Your paper, which I'll be going over here in a minute, is 25% of your grade, and there's your participation, 15% of your grade. Keep in mind that for your tests, no makeups or extra credit will be given. For the paper, there will be a substantial late penalty, and no incompletes will be given for the course. And there's no excused absence, as I said, for missed deadlines. You miss it, and then we just move on. Speaking of the tests, as I said, 3 online tests covering about 4 to 5 chapters each. That will be 60% of your grade. Now, even though, since we are online here, they will be open book, open notes tests, but they will be timed. And that timing will be relatively challenging. So students will need to be prepared because they will not have time to look up answers during the test. So based on your notes, the video lectures, your readings, you'll need to be prepared before you start that test. Otherwise, you will not be able to finish it in the allotted time. The test could include a variety of questions, whether it's multiple choice, matching, fill in the blank, true, false, short answer, and each test will have at least a couple of short essay questions. This is important. The short essay questions will require the student to demonstrate some fundamental understanding of what is being asked. So if you just go back to the lectures and you've printed out some stuff and you simply just copy and paste a list of bullet points that may have been shown in the lecture notes there, that will not get you anywhere near full credit. You need to display in your own words what you have learned based on that question. So do not copy and paste anything, anywhere, anyhow. Now, failure to complete any test by the required deadline results in 0 points for that test. So it's your responsibility to keep up and to communicate if there is an issue. Communicate as soon as possible. Keep in mind that a student cannot pass the course if they do not take test number 3. Now, as far as cheating goes, it is the single worst thing that you can do in your college career. Do not even think about it. So you can read this, but what I will say right up front is that once the test period starts, there will be no communication between the students regarding the test. Now, obviously, before the test starts, you can even have virtual study groups if you want, and compare notes, pick each other's brains as far as that goes. But once that test period starts, there'll be a window for everyone to take the test within an allotted time. Then there will be no communication. So if there is any suspicious similarities between any test questions, that could warrant an investigation. And keep in mind that cheating could result in being expelled from school. So do not go there. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. Do not plagiarize your paper from any other source, or get somebody else to help you with it. Your paper will be your own writing. We'll talk about the paper here in a second. All right, so as far as the paper assignment goes, I just want to touch on this for a few minutes. Within the first month or so, by October 14th, you'll want to be thinking about a topic that you want to write about, a current topic that is relevant to national government or politics. So there's a lot to choose from. What I need on October 14th is a half-page summary in a Word file. This will be describing what you want to write about and why. Include at least, well, all I need is one credible news source that you used to help you learn about that topic. You don't have to worry about citing it. Just tell me in your summary there what news source you read. Keep in mind that if a topic summary is not received on the day it is due, that student will be counted absent for that day. So failing to turn in paper assignments counts the same as missing a discussion forum as far as attendance goes. Now, there's no penalty for this, but you may be asked to resubmit the summary if it is not clear or specific enough on your topic, or if too many other students are looking at that same topic. We do know that the coronavirus pandemic is the biggest topic in the world right now, and it's changing the world as we speak. So what I want you to do is pick a topic besides that. There's lots of social, economic, political topics out there relevant that are currently in the world today, or we want to focus, of course, on the United States government, United States society. Lots to choose from out there. Now, obviously, once you get into your topic, you can certainly talk about how the coronavirus pandemic has affected that topic. Absolutely. But as far as your main idea for your topic, let's reach out there and find something creative that's interesting to you, or that might even pertain to your major, something like that. But your topic must be approved before we move on from there, so it's important that the students turn in their paper summary on the day that it's due so that I can get those back to you and get our topics locked in. And at some point after that, before the paper is due, I'll be asking you to submit your peer-reviewed academic sources that you've found so far in the proper format. And don't worry about that right now. I will give you lots of information and show you how to find those, how to cite them. Videos provided on peer-reviewed academic journals, as I show right there. Now, your paper will be a 4.5-page minimum, not including your reference page. That will be due on Wednesday, December 9th. The papers will be attached to a form that I'll set up in Blackboard, and it will be a Word file. That's so that I can get the comments to you in the Word file in the margins and send them back to you. The format for all your paper assignments will be the same: double-spaced, 12-point font, Times New Roman, 1-inch margins. Every paper assignment you turn in will have that format. Now, for your final paper, there will be a minimum of 6 references, at least 4 of which will be peer-reviewed academic journals. So I will be providing instructions as we go on citing your sources and your quotes. Now, the paper will be an objective, critical analysis of the issue. A PDF file, Guide to Writing Your Paper, will be posted with lots of information on writing a more interesting, informative, unbiased paper. The paper is not for the purpose of expressing and spouting your opinions. It's not for you to tell me what you think is wrong or right about this or that. That's not the purpose of the paper. It's exactly the opposite of that. The paper is for you to learn about that topic and then demonstrate what you have learned from those credible readings. So you want to read a lot from credible sources and then describe what you have learned. And do not copy and paste anything under any circumstances. The students are going to be graded on their ability to gather this information from credible sources and display their understanding of that topic in their own words. And that's when real learning is occurring, is when you're doing that. Okay, just wanted to make a quick note here that prior to my going back to grad school, and I was a civil engineer down in Texas for over 20 years. So the point that I'm trying to make here, without trying to sound pretentious, is that every single thing that I tell you to do, that I ask you to do, has got a reason behind it. So just going to have to trust me on that. I'll run down on the schedule here. This is the introduction to the course and syllabus that we're looking at right now. And then we will get into a general introduction of government and politics in Chapter 1. And then I want to spend quite a bit of time on the Constitution, why we have the Constitution, what's in the Constitution, and just as important, selling the Constitution, because the framers, once they put all this work in putting this together, they needed to sell it to the states to get it ratified, otherwise all that work would have been for naught. Then I want to post a video introducing you to the class paper on how to prepare for your paper and just some general guidelines on thinking about your paper. Chapter 3, we'll be looking at federalism. Chapter 4 will be civil liberties, civil rights, and then a short video on the 12th Amendment, start of the party system. And then on October 7th, test number 1, which covers chapters 1 through 4, and the 9 p.m. deadline to complete that test that evening. Keep in mind that 9 p.m. deadline is to complete the test. Then I want to talk a little bit about the scientific method, which is very important to political and social science and helping you in analyzing your topic. And the paper topic summary will be due on October 14th. That's where I'll need that 1/2 page summary in a Word file. It will be attached to a form that I'll set up. Then I'll get into Congress, Chapter 5, Chapter 6, the presidency, and then I want to post a video on peer-reviewed academic journals, why they're important, how to find them, and how to cite them. Chapter 7 will be broken up into the structure of the executive branch and then the function of the executive branch, or the bureaucracy, as it's called. Then Chapter 8, looking at the court system in the United States. Test number 2 will be November 9th, covering those chapters 5 through 8. As far as the last third of the course goes, Chapter 9 is looking at public opinion and the media. Chapter 10 will be looking at elections. Now keep in mind that since I'm taking this in order of the textbook, in a logical order here, November 16th, of course, will be after the presidential elections. So I will probably have a couple of discussion forums concerning the election as we get closer to the election. And also want to remind you to go ahead and register to vote now as soon as you can so that you're ready for that. And then we'll find some information as far as in New York. I live in New Jersey, but I'm also familiar with the New York election process, so we'll talk about even voting by mail, things like that. Chapter 11, political parties. Chapter 12, interest groups, very important part of our pluralist system in the United States. Then we'll take a break for Thanksgiving, and then we come back. I'll post a shorter video about finalizing your paper, as well as the PDF file, Guide to Writing the Paper, which is going to give you some very useful tips on making sure that your paper is more interesting, more informative, unbiased. Chapter 13, I'm going to break up into 2 video lectures, Economic Policy Part 1 and Part 2, and then your paper will be due on December 9th, 4.5 pages minimum. Minimum be a Word file attached to Blackboard. And then the final chapter, 14, will be in 2 parts, Foreign Policy Part 1, Part 2. The last day of the class, December 21st, which will be test number 3, covering those final chapters, again, 9 p.m. deadline. Okay, that covers the syllabus in detail, so stay tuned for the next video posting, and I will see you in class.